My name is John Snow, and I'm the municipal historian for the town of Granby. I have been researching town of Granby probably since 2003. My great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents moved here from Massachusetts through the Erie Canal, and so they settled in the town of Granby in 1850, and I live on a piece of the farm that has been in my family since about 1875. Growing up, sitting on my grandfather's knee, listening to the stories about the one-room schoolhouse down the road, the different people. Muck is a huge industry, with lettuce and onions, whatever. And hearing about working on the muck farms and working in the mills and stuff. So, at a very early age, I just had this just passion for the local history of the area. So then I started researching as I got older, and it's a unique town, and I became the deputy historian in 2010, and then I became the historian in 2012.
What if there were a few interesting things you'd like the people to learn about how communities have changed over the years? You shared a little bit about the town of Granby and the districts that were in the town of Granby. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I kind of joked that in the town of Granby we have an identity crisis. Our main village, our main part of our town was annexed to create the city of Fulton in 1902. So we lost our main hub, and the rest was farmlands and little hamlets. And each little hamlet, if it was closer to Hannibal Village, that's where they did their shopping and their business and whatnot. So when the school districts were 20 in my town, and when the state was encouraging centralization, it was easily divided because that's where they did their business. So the school districts closer to Hannibal Village, they chose to be centralized with the Hannibal School District. The schools in the south part of the town where I live, they did a lot of their business in Hinmanville and Phoenix, in the town of Schuylkill. So they went with the Phoenix School District. So we actually have 4 different school districts in our town, and the Hannibal School District comprises of a huge geographical area of 4 different townships, parts of 4 different townships.
When you look at ways of holding the community together, do you feel that the type of projects that you're doing with the kids help reunite that spirit?
Absolutely. I still think that there's a division today. So that the south part of the town, where I live, you still see this flow of traffic. They probably work in Syracuse. They probably do their shopping in Clay. And the people in the north part of the town, they probably work in Oswego. They probably do a lot of their shopping in Oswego. So there still is this division, and the only thing that's going to bring the community together is the common heritage.
That's fabulous. Are there any special stories? You shared the muck farmers, and there any special stories that stand out in your mind?
Well, one interesting thing that I'm very proud of in the town of Granby, and one of my heroes in local history as far as Granby is concerned, is John C. Harrington. And he came from Canada, and he settled in Granby Center. His house stood where the Granby Center Church parking lot is now. He was friends with Frederick Douglass, and Frederick Douglass came to his house and came to Granby a number of times. And he was also in charge of one of the abolitionist newspapers and movements in central New York. Abolition was huge in here. You had the Underground Railroad through many of our towns locally. There was something interesting about John C. Harrington, though, was because he was not afraid of the Fugitive Act of 1850. He would invite anyone to come and listen to the stories of the runaway slaves. He would take them to the church, which was right next door, and talk. And I think that kind of fueled the movement in our community, was hearing these stories from the former slaves. And I would like to believe that really fueled the movement in this area. John C. Harrington, as well as George Solomon and some others from the town of Granby and some of the other towns surrounding, were involved in the Jerry rescue in the city of Syracuse. And in fact, it's kind of cool to know that majority of the people from Oswego County that went were actually arrested and stood trial. And if you can read the court documents, John C. Harrington, when they stormed the jail, no fear, Oswego County is here. And I think that's kind of cool.
What a great story. Do you have some of those stories preserved?
Well, that's the problem. We do not have a lot of our elderly, a lot of our families in the town of Granby are gone. A lot of the people moving in, our town has about 7,000 people, but a lot of them have moved from outside of the city, so they don't really have a tie to the community as far as history goes. And so it's important to try to capture those stories, but it's also hard when a lot of those stories are gone. So you kind of have to try to research and do a lot of seeking online to try to find some of the stories, and use a lot of different primary sources to try to put things together.
Well, hopefully you're sharing your story and you're being able to bring it in to the kids in your class will just continue to snowball, and by being able to get it up on New York Heritage Site, it will be searchable.
Yeah.
And you can just continue to add to it. I can't thank you enough, John. It's
Well,
just
thank you for that opportunity.
fabulous, just fabulous. Let's get a couple